Today's episode is recorded on Wurundjeri country, part of the Eora Nation, and I'd like to pay respects to my elders past and present, and happy listening.
I know you're gonna dig this.
It's like I've been given like an extra sprinkle of something.
You got layers.
Yeah, I got layers.
I was just thinking, I'm like, we're just such beautiful storytellers.
You're making a lot of sense today, girl. No, I'm done.
Let's jump into it, honest to God. Hi, guys. Matty is away on his beautiful Europe trip. I bet he's having the best time of his life. And I am in studio working like a dog. No. No, I really wanted to do a solo episode this week because I feel like it's been enough time has gone on and evolved, and I feel like we haven't really caught up. We've, Maddie and I are always on this like a little bit of a hamster wheel with the podcast in interviewing people and getting to know other people, and I feel like we haven't really done like an episode where we unpack what has happened in our lives over time since we first started the podcast, which is a couple of years ago now. Crazy, right? I think a lot of things have changed for me. I think personally I'm having this this time in my life where I'm so happy where things are going that there is so much change, but there's also so much reflection happening. I sometimes think, well, what is the next chapter of Brooke's life looking like? And it looks very different to what I thought it would be. In a good way, in a very good way. I feel like you guys have first seen me come to, TV when I was 23 and I'm now 30, and it's been 7 years of my life being so public and sharing every corner, crevice aspect of it, and I thought this would be a nice chance for you guys to ask me anything. Anyways, blah, 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 let's get into it. I love a ramble, don't I? I love a little tangent. But you know what? My goal this year is to be a little bit more concise. So let's go with questions that you guys have asked me. And I think one of them is around sexuality. I think, this is a common thing for me to talk about because, one, I've always been really proud of my sexuality, and it's not something that I always felt comfortable with. I think I had some, reservations, especially just before going on the show. I thought, oh God, here I'm going on a heteronormative show, but I'm definitely queer. Like, do I have to shield that from myself? Do I have to hide it? And will, people make a big deal about it? I had some reservations of getting homophobia, of course. And yeah, luckily I didn't, but I also did in a way. So coming to my sexuality off the show, one of the main questions I get is, did you actually come out? And I think I didn't really ever come out in my life. I think my coming out story or experience was, I played footy for a very long time, and I'd always been really tomboyish, and I'd always been really just not overly extroverted in telling people everything, which is kind of funny now that I have a podcast and I tell everyone everything. But when I was younger, in high school, I would constantly just keep things to myself. I was pretty reserved. And then I guess I had these feelings, but I didn't really share them. I often, went to parties, as you do as a high school student, and I would kiss girls and I would like it. And I didn't really express that. I had friends in high school that, I could tell that I felt comfortable with being around, who I thought also were gay and ended up being gay as well. But we didn't really talk about it in high school, I guess, until sort of out. My first girlfriend was when I was 19. And we met actually at a gay nightclub. So I used to go, play footy, and then a Friday game or a Saturday night, we would actually go to the club called The Court. And that was a gay club. And we would, often I would often hook up with girls and I didn't care. And I think because I had all my teammates who were also gay and hooking up with girls, it didn't need a coming out. It was just kind of like whatever. And then occasionally I would date a guy and my friends would be like, yeah, cool, this is your boyfriend, like whatever. And then I met my girlfriend and then we moved in together. And I guess that was kind of like my coming out was, but you know, it was just weird. It didn't really like, my coming out wasn't really like a thing. I think I went to my granddad's house and I took my girlfriend for lunch and it was like, my granddad was like, so nice to bring you a friend. And I remembered like correcting my granddad and being like, no, granddad, this is actually my girlfriend, my partner. And he goes, oh, good for you. And then that was kind of it. That was like so chill. I didn't have a coming out, like a party or like a uncomfortableness. I think because I don't know, people kind of maybe expected that I would be gay or just knew or had a feeling, but they never really I never really felt uncomfortable about it, which is kind of a really nice feeling. Yeah. And I know that is not for some. I guess I'd put it down to luck and being in an environment that I guess most of the women that were playing footy at that time were queer and there are straight girls that play footy. I'm not going to like disregard them, but I think in an environment where it's just supported and it's just, you know, known and no one really cares and people care about the personality of people rather than the sexuality of people, I think it just made it so much easier. So I didn't really have a coming out, sorry. I think the coming out part was actually on the show, The Bachelor, when I made tabloids and it was like Brooke's big secret and Brooke's big bombshell, etc. And I was like, it's actually not been that of a big deal in my personal life. It's just TV life that it kind of comes to. And I actually had been with more women than men at that stage of going on the show, which is kind of crazy. If you just want to side note that. But like, yeah, I don't know. I have always liked women and I will always like them and I have a beautiful girlfriend now and it's great. Okay. Did I feel more pressure dating more men after the show? I feel like the pressure with coming out on the show was the people at home who had known me my whole life being like, this is not a secret. And then me not being able to communicate with them, like, guys, I'm not making it a big deal in here, I promise. Like, you know, I kind of felt like I was going to be judged by my own community in a sense because they knew that I was gay and it was just being blown out of proportion. And I was like, I promise I'm not being dramatic. It's the TV. And, you know, I obviously knew that I was on a hetero, you know, normative show or like season of The Bachelor, that it was a dude and I was interested in him and I had a lot of things in common with him. But did I feel pressure to date men after that? No, not really. I felt like funny enough, like actually after The Bachelor, I went back home and I went to my normal life. I started dating a woman. So funny. I started dating an AFLW player and we hit it off really well, but it was only casual. And then I met my actual partner and then we actually started dating, and we dated for like 14 months. And it's kind of funny because every time I've dated a man, I've gone back to women. Isn't that that just blows my mind? Like if I look at my track record or the pattern of such, like every time I've been heartbroken by a dude, I go back to women. But then obviously it's the chicken or the egg came first. I don't know. Like my first love was a girl and she had no idea that I was madly in love with her. She had no idea I was madly in love with her. She was my best friend. She lived across the road and we hung out like every day and I was madly in love with her and I was only 11 years old and, you know, but I didn't know myself too well. I'm 11 years old, guys. I don't know. I'm going to come too. I can't say that it was easy, but I can definitely say it gets better. Okay, next question. So how did dating change? Well, let's say being recognized and especially for being recognized for a dating show and wanting to find the one, I think there was this preconceived idea every time that I went on a date or went even just like started seeing someone that they assume that I was like, I want to marry them, I want to have kids, and like I kind of like jumped the gun and assumed that that was something that I wanted straight away. Like they didn't give me the opportunity to just like casually date myself and experience that for myself. And I think a lot of people either like tapped out quick, which is fine, and I actually realized that there was a pattern of that. And I was like, what, is it me? Like, why am I getting ghosted? But I think people realize, if they're not ready in their life, they think that I'm like up here and they're down here, that they have to meet me there. And then if they don't meet me there, then yeah, they sort of tap out. And I was like, wow, okay, that hurt, but that's fine. We move on. Or they like love bombed me and went there straight away, and I maybe wasn't as ready as well. Like I just feel like everyone just assumed that I was like on this journey of finding the one, and I needed to find the one, and never gave me the opportunity to like actually date. And I actually took the time to do that, and I had 3 years. Like I haven't had a long-term relationship since and I were literally having a baby and getting married. Like that was the idea of going on the show, is that he was the one for me, and it actually didn't turn out. And it took me 3 years really it actually took me less, but I'm going to say that 3 years until finding Mim to realize how much that relationship wouldn't have worked anyways. Full stop. But yeah, dating was really hard. I think people notice you, or they like want something from you. I think like sometimes they're like, oh, well, this girl's famous, like let's just go on the date to see what it's about. And it's really mean because I'm a person. Okay, have you ever tipped off paparazzi? Fucking no. And the fact that people do that fucking baffles me. I am a person who actually loves my privacy. Like one thing that I've had to give up in terms of having some sort of, in quotation, fame is my privacy. The fact that I was living in a house in South Yarra, and the day after, or a couple of days after and I had broken up and it had broke out, I had paparazzi following me, my best friend, in the street, knowing where the fuck I live. And I also had them that I picked up their car that I knew that they were parked down the street of my house. Like, is that not fucking creepy? Like, no, I don't have any relationship with the paparazzi. The only pap that I know or know of are two people. I know that Jaden guy because he paps all of the celebrities at the airport, and I know Ali because he works for Daily Mail, I think, and he constantly is on podcasts. So they're the two paps that I know, and I've never tipped them. I have no interest in tipping them. Why would I tip them? Like, what would be the point? And I'm also not that famous. I have no interest in having my photos more in the mail. Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Guys, I'm actually at a stage where I don't even know if I enjoy influencing. When I was thinking about it and I was thinking the things that I enjoy, right now I'm loving like doing my speaking gigs. I spoke at a queer Ida Hobbit day the other day, and I pretty much had everyone in the room crying because I think storytelling is so powerful. And these moments, I was like, this is what I'm good at. Not making people cry, obviously, but like telling my story in hopes to inspire our young people. And there were multiple young people who were vulnerable in the room. There were counsellors in the room. It was local government. And I think, wow, this is what I was meant to be doing. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound ungrateful. I'm very grateful, I must admit. But yeah, I would never tip off paparazzi. Moving on. I feel like in the last couple of years, if we've been doing the podcast and being online, I think I always make the time to make sure that I'm on the right purpose and path that I need to be on personally. I don't care about what everyone else thinks I should be doing because I don't give a fuck. Like, the thing is, I get unsolicited advice all the time. Like, you should do this and you should do that. And it's like, I'm going to do what I want to do because it's my life. And I think sometimes people want to have, they like think it's a great idea to suggest. And I think, yeah, suggestions are so fine, but always start it with like, this would be a great idea. Like, or I don't love the concept of telling someone you should do this, because you should, or should, using the word should, is like taking a person's agency away. And I'm like, stop feeling entitled to people's lives. Like, I love sharing my life with you guys, but if there are things that I want to keep personal, I'll keep personal. And you guys know that. Like, I'm not out here just, you can go fucking read my book if you want. Like, honest to God, like, there's a book plug for you. I think for me, the next journey of my life is looking pretty fucking good. I'm not going to lie. My sense of self and my relationship has been the best it's ever been. Like, I have felt so comfortable and so happy that sometimes I like question that I can't be this happy, honest to God. Like, I was so fucking depressed last year. I'm sure you guys could tell through podcasts that I was like so unwell and I was just battling through. But I feel like Mim makes me so happy in so many ways. Like, I feel like I've just gained a whole new family through her, that I've just gained 2 mums and 2 dads on her side of the family. I can't wait to spend Christmas with our families merged. Our dogs love each other. She's really enjoying living in Melbourne for the time being, but, you know, we have to go back to long distance in a matter of time, which is always the hardest thing. But, you know, I don't know. I have offered whether she wanted to move to Melbourne. I don't know. We'll see. That's a TBC. But I don't know. I just feel like our future plans for Mim and I and my life is that I want to do the things that I said that I would do. And I think being in a relationship isn't really stopping me from doing that. If I want to move overseas, I feel like Mim and I will chat about that and it will happen. If we want to have children, that will happen. If we want to get married, that will happen. I think we're just absolutely in no rush to do it. And I think we've only just hit our 4 months, and I feel like that time has just flown so quickly that I honestly literally felt like I was just getting with her yesterday. And I think that's kind of our relationship, is that we've experienced so much in such a short period of time, but also have so much to experience in our future. And I think the fact that I can actually think about our future together is actually so exciting. Like, I'm not just saying this to say it for The Bachelor. Like, you know, when you're in a relationship post the show, you have to actually physically figure out what your answers are to these questions. And to be fair, I'm just figuring them out in a moment. Like, Mim and I got questioned about how we deal with conflict. It's like, well, we haven't really come up to that. Like, well, sometimes we, you know, have little biffs, but everyone does. And hers is avoidant and mine is go straight for the throat. But I feel like that's because I just don't want to waste time with the riffraff and the arguing and the conflict and the blah, blah, blah. Not that we ever do that, but there's just so much love happening in my life right now and I feel really excited. I have 2 beautiful housemates. Our house is full. Our families are, you know, lovely. I don't know what to say. I feel like it's just all on and up for me at the moment and it feels really good. But do I have any fears with being in a relationship in the public eye? Absolutely. I feel like the fact that we just did our first job together in a relationship, so like our first actual public, like kind of hard launch job together, which is kind of weird to say, is like we are going to be one of those like public relationships, but I don't think to the point of sharing everything in our life. And I think there will be boundaries and there'll be communication between Mim and I with what we feel comfortable sharing and what we don't. And I think that's what makes this relationship so much worth it, or so much more worthwhile, because the communication is happening and it's a respect. And I think in previous relationships, yeah, there was no respect in a sense. Like, it hadn't been built yet. I think people forget that when I came off the show, the day of finale was the day that my sister passed away, and I hadn't even known yet. And I think that people forget that grief comes in so many different ways. And navigating a new relationship, a long distance relationship, and a relationship off a TV show when your sibling has died is probably the most difficult fucking thing you could ever go through. And having to navigate getting COVID and getting into WA on it through like borders, and then in 2 weeks of isolation, organising a funeral. So organising a funeral for your sibling, going through flowers and coffins, which is awful, navigating a long distance relationship where your partner can't even be at the funeral because they can't either get into WA or you can't be seen together with them. Like, our relationship started off rocky and it started off pretty shitty, and we tried our absolute hardest to like obviously make it work. I don't want to go too much into it, but I'm just saying, like, the relationship that I'm in now is starting off with so much time, care, respect, conversation. Like, it's giving us a good chance to actually like take our time. And then if anything happened in this time, I feel like we have the best foundations, the best base to deal with whatever comes up. And that's the difference. Not to compare, but I'm just saying, like, that was the last relationship long term that I've been properly in. I wouldn't even call relationship like a serious relationship because it was like 3 months and then he was out. So yeah. Anyways, boring story. I mean, I feel like it's going to get to a point where I'm going to have more interesting things to actually like talk to you guys about other than my relationships. But you know what? Our whole life is based around relationships, honestly. Friendships, work relationships, love relationships, family relationships. Like, I'm just so comfortable talking about each of those things that it just comes up in conversation. So if you hate me, fuck it. Also, the fact that like I post a video like throwing shade at my actual ex, like pretty much saying like you will never get this again, and they thought that Mim and I had broken up. Like, everyone commenting thinking we've broken up after 3 months. Get a grip, people. Come on. See that, you know, like this is the real thing. I'm not jinxing it. I'm touching wood here. But like, get a grip, people, thinking that we've broken up. Pfft, please. You think I would let Mim slide? You think that I would let her go? You think that, do you? Well, please. I still think, holy fuck, how did I land her? So y'all better chill the fuck out. Anyways, that's probably the end of this episode. Thanks for catching up with me. I mean, just a little catch up. Whilst Matty's away, the mice will play. So I thought, you know what? Let's have a yarn. I feel like I don't really get the chance to talk to you guys on my own. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you next week. Bye.